Hi, I'm Roberta. Welcome to my kitchen. Today we're going to make roast potatoes, but not just roast potatoes, roast rosemary potatoes with red onion that are the most delicious roast potatoes you've ever tasted. Pretty straightforward, but there's a few things that make these exceptional. One is really good spuds. So we're using Burbank potatoes from the Gourmet Potato, and they roast up better than just about any potato I've ever seen. Tip number 2 is get them nice and dry. So I peeled these earlier and had them soaking in water, and I'm just blotting them on some paper towel now to make sure they're thoroughly dry. I love roasting potatoes with red onion for the sweetness, especially once it caramelizes, and I just slice it into really thin slivers like this. And we'll toss that through. Now it will crisp up and go quite dark, but that's how I like it. Okay. The other secret ingredient is some very good olive oil. And something that's absent is also a secret ingredient, and that's salt. We don't salt these until we've finished cooking them. I find the salt draws the moisture out and they don't crisp up as well. Just cut them into large chunks. Big pieces are good, but then the smaller the pieces, the more surface area to crisp up. So a balance between chunky but lots of surface area to get nice and crunchy. Okay. And you can do this with any potato. Dutch creams are good, Kipflers are good, but as I said, I don't think anything crisps up quite as well that I've seen as these Burbanks. So we have our potato, we have our onion, we have our olive oil, and we have our roasting pan and our rosemary. So about a tablespoon of olive oil, in with the potatoes, in with the onion, and in with the rosemary. Now, I'm not a gardener, but rosemary is one thing that grows like a weed in my garden. So I highly recommend getting a little plant, popping it in the ground or a pot. Just save that bit for garnish, especially if it's got beautiful flowers on it like that. Okay, and the other half of the oil, about another tablespoon. And I don't think there's any way to do this except to get in there with your hands and give it a good toss. You want to break these onions up into slivers. They might be joined together at the root end as they are. And you want to make sure that everything is well coated in that beautiful olive oil with the rosemary distributed around. And the potatoes in a single layer. We don't want them piling up on top of each other. We want them to roast, not sweat. And maybe keep your tea towel handy because it gets a bit messy. All right, there they are. They're going into the oven. They'll take about an hour. We'll have a look at them after about 20 minutes, give them a bit of a toss around, and then pop them back in. And now, in that way that we like to do with television and videos, here's one that I actually already had in the oven. You can see how beautifully crisp they are. They're so hard and they're so white and fluffy inside. Now, the onions are quite crisp. If you don't want them that crisp, you could put them in halfway through the cooking. I like them like that. They're caramelized, they're beautiful. A little bit of rosemary for garnish, and now's the time to salt them. Potatoes take quite a bit of salt, so a good dose of salt. I don't think they need pepper. Not everything does. And bon appetit. Enjoy.